This is a computer lesson for primary 2 pupils, the third week of third time. Now the topic is history of computer. But in the history of computer, you see that we have been talking about history of computer since the beginning of this third time. But today we are talking about the electromechanical machines. So this is our topic today. And this lesson is being presented by Mr. Moses Augustine Garba. Now, the topic outline, we are going to see examples of electromechanical machines, and then we are going to see the characteristic of electromechanical machines. Now, the objectives of this lesson, that at the end of this lesson, pupils should be able to describe some electromechanical machines, to mention some examples of electromechanical machines, and to state the characteristic of electromechanical machines. Now, this is a history, and this history started from when the olden days people were using stones for counting and other devices. Then, when they wanted to count larger objects, they discovered that stones and other objects were very difficult for them to use to do whatever they wanted to do in terms of larger calculations or keeping records. So they started inventing different things, which we mentioned, something like calculator. We mentioned other devices that were invented or produced by that time. Now, it goes on like that. When they began to think further on how to develop other machines for calculation, they came about developing some complex machine that were used for calculation and doing some counting. And these machines were now able to store data. What is that data? Data is a raw fact. So now when they have their data, they were able to store it, and this is the differences between the other devices, the earlier devices. The stone, yes, they keep records, and those stones will represent some items that they have. They came about abacus, and abacus actually helped them to do some calculations. But now the complex machine that were able to store data, and these machines are called electromechanical machines. This machine resemble the computer. They are called electromechanical because that electro means they use electricity, and mechanical means they are also able to use hands to control them. So that is why they are mixed up, and the name is also mixed up with electro and then mechanical. So that is why we call them electromechanical machines. They use electricity just like computer today. Computer also use electricity, and we actually have the mechanical aspect where you press key to enable you send information into the data into the computer and do some other things mechanically. So that was what the olden days people invented, they produced to help them do some calculations and then storing of data and information. So these electromechanical devices or machines that we are talking about is something like a calculator. You see a calculator. If you have ever seen a calculator, you see that it has a screen, and some buttons whereby you press the buttons with your fingers and you watch the screen to see whatever you are doing. We also have uh, an electromechanical device that was called ENIAC. ENIAC is a short form of Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. So you can see. Then we have another one that is called EDVAC. EDVAC is also the full meaning of EDVAC is Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. So these are the good examples of the complex calculating machines that were produced in the olden days. We have many of them, but these are the common ones that we can talk about today. Now, what are their characteristics? Characteristics means what they can do and what they look like and what they do. Yeah. So we are going to be talking about the characteristics of the electromechanical machines that they store data. You remember that I mentioned it earlier that they were able to store data, and I told you data is a raw fact. Data is a raw fact that when you process the data, you will now have information. Then the electromechanical machines have screen to show your work, just like I mentioned that a calculator has a screen. If you have ever seen a calculator, you will know that it has a screen where you see whatever you are doing. So you see, just like a computer today, if a computer has no screen, then how will you know how to use it? How will you know that this is what you are doing? So it's because of the screen. So all these electromechanical, we are having screen for you to be able to see what you are doing. And like I told you, the next one is that they use electricity to work. Yes. Don't tell me that a calculator does not use electricity. It uses battery inside, and that battery is a device that used to store electricity. So when you store electricity inside the battery, then you insert the battery into the calculator, and the battery will be supplying the calculator with electricity. Then they are fast. Yes, if you want to add a larger number using the calculator, you will see that the calculator is very, very fast. Unlike your brain, before you begin to count your fingers, before you begin to write this 000, a calculator has already given you your answer. So they were very, very fast. And they are used to perform complex calculation. Yes, like a calculator is used to perform a complex here means a very hard calculation that when you sit down without calculator, you will take so many minutes or so many hours before you will get your result. But using the calculator, you can easily get your result. So this here we stop because I have always told you that the history of computer is very vast. So we'll be touching it little by little. So what have you learned today? We have learned here that the men began to develop complex calculating machines that could do all their calculation and store data. That those machines were able to do complex calculations and to store data. And we also know the names given to these complex machines. We call them electromechanical machines. And we also say that they resemble the computer in so many ways. And we mentioned some some of the examples of these uh, electromechanical machines as the calculator, the ENIAC, that is electronic numerical integrator, and computer. Then the EDVAC, that is electronic discrete variable automatic computer. And then we also mention the characteristic of the electromechanical machines, such as storing of information, having screen to show your work, then they use electricity, etc. So that is it. So we have actually come to the end of this lesson. Now, but before I forget, we have a homework to you go read your notes again, and then so that you'll be able to answer this question. You have to fill in the gaps with the correct answers. The electromechanical machines could do calculations and store dash. That is question number one. Then number two, the electromechanical machines resemble dash in many ways. Then ENIAC stands for dash. Then you have to mention two examples of electromechanical machines that we talked about, and then state two characteristics of the electromechanical machines. Thank you. May God bless you.